Hello, everyone. You are all that is ever needed to be all right. It's a bold statement, kind of like the last couple episodes I've been mentioning, but bold and maybe also simplistic. And we're going to unpack that together today. And I'm going to start with an example to explain. You are all that you need to be all right, to be okay. Um, I I had quite a bit of time after a divorce, different relationships and different things that I was working on, finding myself, so to speak, and had some really good relationships. They all concluded; they went the way they were meant to. It wasn't necessarily arguments or fights; they just fizzled, for lack of a better term. And the the last one, I made a choice for myself because I tended to be go out of one relationship and get into another. And I thought, I'm gonna really do it this time. I'm gonna just force myself. This is me talking back then. I'm gonna force myself to spend time with myself. Look right into the face of the fear that I had of being alone. Um, Took a trip by myself, a couple other things. It really wasn't that many months until I came to this final conclusion, if you will. Looking back, it was a revelation. I finally got to a point where I was going to be okay, regardless of what happened in the future to me. I had and have two beautiful children, now many more. I'll get to that in a moment. But I had two children in a good place from a work standpoint, and the relationship piece was just not where I wanted it to be. But almost to the moment that I reconciled with being okay just being me, whether I met someone else ever again, or if it was just myself and my children, watching them grow up and taking care of them, I was going to be more than okay. I was going to be happy. It wasn't that I, just agreed begrudgingly to be okay. I really felt it. I felt happy. I felt content with that decision. And within weeks, I met my now wife on kind of a happenstance way. And that story's for another time. But I have told her to this day, now almost 5 years later, the reason why she came into my life is because I was okay for myself. And that's one example of what I mean today. When we do things or wish for things or desire things that are going to make us okay, I'll be okay when this happens. The house, the perfect spouse, the behaved children, amazing job, fill in whatever blank you want. The moment that you feel yourself going to there, like I did, that's where you're entering yourself into, if I don't have this, I'm not okay. And that's the point of all this. The point of all this of talking through points of you being in awareness of your thoughts. You aren't your thoughts. You're not your mind. You are the awareness behind all that. When you don't feel okay, there is an extension of pressure then on every single part of your life or particular parts of your life where you're needing something from someone else. So that's what the statement means. You don't need anything to be all right other than being you. And that's difficult. That's challenging, admittedly. Being on this path that I have, and probably each of you, watching here have your own path. Getting to a point where you're okay and all right, happy, content, regardless of what happens here on out, that is the place where happiness and peace will just start flowing through you and continue to flow through you. And I talked a little bit last episode where I mentioned, it's going to feel a little boring to start with. And I was joking a little bit, but I really meant what I said. When you're not chasing things to be okay, all of a sudden there's a large amount of time that you kind of get back without realizing it. If you're not worried about this or this, and that everything, will work out the way it's meant to be, and you really mean it, you really feel it in your heart, there seems to be this, or at least for me, this sort of emptiness that you used to fill with all that fret and worry. And it doesn't mean day-to-day life doesn't happen and you don't get frustrated and things like that, but you have a perspective on it that you're all right, so everything's going to be all right. And so anything that comes into your life, you're not worrying about it, thinking what they thought, thinking what you're wearing, thinking what, those kind of things. And so there's this just large, inordinate almost amount of time that you wonder what's going to be filled with that. Well, if I don't worry about anything, shouldn't I be doing something? My answer would be consider saying no. Just let that be. And then immediately following that, almost, maybe not to the moment, but pretty darn close, more things will come into your life. Life is unfolding as it is meant to be. So I'll give another example of me. This podcast and these conversations, many times, of course, it's talking with either my co-host George or guests. I've started doing this more kind of one-on-one, me and the camera. Again, it's a fear I'm letting go of. If I was not okay unless a certain amount of people watched this, or a certain amount of people commented, or a certain amount of, fill in whatever it is. If I was not okay, this wouldn't go nearly as beautiful for me, or potentially a gift for you. That's the way in which I'd suggest you ought to consider looking at life in general. Each interaction that you have, when you're putting this pressure on it that it has to be a certain way, or if I make this mistake or anything else, and you're thinking about, I'm not going to be okay unless this goes exactly right, you'll get what you really are intending, that you won't be okay. Now, as many of these topics, as I said before, I know that they can feel overly simplistic and complex at the same time. But I encourage all of you, as you're thinking through this for yourself, each interaction that you have, every single moment, every single second interaction with other people and yourself, if you've really spent time thinking about, am I all right? Am I all right, regardless of the output or the outcome of this conversation or this action or anything? When you've detached from that outcome, everything starts flowing either in the same way you would have tried to strong arm it into place, or in a much more beautiful way. Life is bringing us gifts every moment. There's nothing that any of us is going to miss. There's no time that we've squandered. There's no regrets that any of us need to hold on to. It is this moment right here and now. And when you let go and surrender into that, surrender meaning acceptance. Surrendering doesn't mean quit. Surrendering means acceptance that the moment is meant for exactly what is happening. And I encourage all of you to keep in mind that when you surrender and accept the moment, it does not mean that your drive goes anywhere. It does not mean that you aren't striving to do things. It means the outcome does not matter to you. And that doesn't mean you don't care either. And this is a little bit of a paradox, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time on it. Loving someone unconditionally, loving yourself unconditionally, being content right where you are. All of those things mean you're giving outwardly without being attached to what may come back to you. And it feels very, very, oppositional, very paradoxical, I guess you'd say, that the moment that you do that, everything starts flowing to you in the way that you wish that it was to start with. My wife would have not come into my life unless I would have been already all right, already happy. When you, as the cliche goes, when you least expect it, something will come into your life. And it's up to you then to just decide to say yes or no. And for those of you like myself who might think, well, gosh, I need to really be then paying attention for, each of those gifts. I need to make sure right there, when you're thinking in that way, you're already not all right if you don't have that gift. So I now understand why I'm doing, this sort of one-on-one me and the camera type series. At least to the point here. It will go wherever it goes from here. I'm going to let that flow. But I now just here talking to you, understood why it was I felt compelled to do this. It wasn't that I wasn't okay not doing it. I just felt, yeah, I think I should. I think I have some things I want to share. You are all right. You are all happy and content right where you are in whatever place in life that you find yourself. You are the most perfect and whole version of yourself in this moment that is ever needed and ever will be needed. And as you consider this for yourself, you will understand as over time, the peace and the happiness and all the beautiful things that are going to unfold in your life from here forward, because you're already all right here. I'm very grateful for you all. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.